Sometimes we'll be contacted by people who've been injured in a car accident in New Orleans and they weren't driving. They were simply a passenger princess or riding in the back seat at the time of the crash, and they want to know what their rights are. Do they have to have the same attorney as the driver of the vehicle that they were in, etc. To address that first question, can I have the same attorney? Well, it depends. It depends on the circumstances of the claim. Has an ethical obligation to his or her client. So if there's any reason to believe that there may be some adversity between the driver and the passenger, and I'll give an example of that in a second, well, then that same attorney can't represent everybody. Well, how could that come up? Let's say the facts of the incident indicate that the driver of the car that you were in may have some responsibility, albeit slight. Well, I can't represent the passenger against the driver, and then the driver, you can't have that relationship, because I may have to use information I learned from the driver in connection with the claim for the passenger adversely against the driver. So it sets me up for an ethical conflict. I'm prohibited from doing so. But let's say it's a rear end case at a red light where it's clear that the driver of the vehicle had no responsibility whatsoever. Then I, as the attorney, again, there's some circumstances that can change this, can possibly represent everybody in the car. Other issues that can come up for a passenger is, well, what insurance do I pursue as a result of this? Obviously, if you're a passenger in a car and the driver, your vehicle you were in, was not at fault, the first place you're going to go is the insurance for the driver who was at fault. But let's say that driver didn't have enough insurance to properly compensate you or everybody else who was in the car. What are your next options? Well, we need to explore a few things. Did the vehicle that you were in have uninsured, underinsured motorist benefits that are applicable to the crash? Maybe there's a right to recover there. Even though you were a passenger in the car at the time, do you yourself have your own vehicle that may have an insurance policy on it that has uninsured, underinsured motorist benefits that we can potentially attach to that accident? All things that we need to explore. So even as a passenger, you have rights. Whether we can represent everybody in a car or not is, again, case specific. What insurance do we go after as a result of the crash? Again, case specific. If the driver you were in the car with may have some fault, well, there may be multiple policies that we're going after. The other car, the driver of the car that you were in, the uninsured motorist for the car that you were in, your own uninsured motorist. There's all these issues that come up, and which one comes first and what percentages, etc. That's why it's very important, in my opinion, that if you're a passenger in a car accident in New Orleans and you have those types of questions, that you reach out to a competent attorney. My office, we're happy to review those circumstances with you, particular to your claim, and give you our God's honest feeling about what's going on, and help you in the best way that we can. Oftentimes, the passenger question comes up in a case with a minor child who's in the car with their family, their mother or their father who happens to be a victim. Absolutely, that minor child has a right to make a claim in connection with their injury. They could be a passenger in a car, maybe the neighbor or the best friend's mom or dad has taken him to basketball practice. Absolutely, again, if that minor child is injured as a result of a crash, then they have a right to pursue that. Who has the right to pursue that on behalf of the minor child? Well, again, it depends. Typically in Louisiana, it's the father that has the right to pursue the claim on behalf of the child. But there are things that we have to look at under the law. If it's a family of divorce, what does the divorce decree say? The custodial agreement, all things that we can look at as potential counsel for that minor child to make sure that the right people are involved. Because if we end up having to file suit and the right people aren't involved, well, then the insurance company can have that claim dismissed because the right parties aren't involved. And if you don't do it in time, if you wait too late, well, then that claim could go away forever. So if you were a passenger in a car crash in New Orleans, or a child of yours was a passenger in a car crash in New Orleans, and you have questions about what your rights are, am I entitled to compensation, what insurance should be involved, feel free to reach out to our office, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'll be happy to take a look at your particular situation and help in the best way that we can.